are you putting it out?
The show.
It's a novel idea.
Yep.
There it is.
Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns is going down. With the talk of all towns, look around, no frowns. Oh yes, he time. We been sitting and just waiting. I want all of it. These people faking and they hating, just keep talking. You gon' feel less, they gon' hear us. We keep barking, Chris. And when it comes to Cleveland, we are all in this. Yeah. Kenny from Baker, some may say throw sauce not safer. At times get a bad rap like Vader. Going deep, taking toss off like taper. This bro freak get smoke like vapor. To the house, oh yeah, see you later. We tougher than alligators. We'll beat you right now and later. Woo. Got a blessing on flow cold like juice play. Yes, just know you might lose. These crazy call them typhoons. Can't block them, oh yeah, nice moves. Who the stop don't know, oh yeah, pick and choose. We really all hate to lose on every day, just watch the news. Winning all day, okay, yeah, that's a new hobby. Got some nice new bodies. Our past records, we know it's shoddy. The city standing strong, we ain't never choppy. DP of the year and miles, should worry about your play survival. Yeah, we got Odell well. He may be sold out some hotels. You can't be mad, we doing well. You know them jokes that they will tell. Now watch the stories they will tell. Only time will tell. Watch where you throw it. We got water and greedy. For these that we starving, yeah, quite needy. The Cleveland Legends, we about to be. There is no stopping me, I mean, we. That is how I got to be. Oh yeah, Bengals, they just kittens. Ravens flew away, they hidden. Oh, those Steelers, who they kidding? Play with us, you will get smitten. Okay, yeah, we in the kitchen, bout to bake up, start the mixing. Oh yeah, damn, that bowl is missing, wait. But we said, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns is going down. We the talk of all towns, look around, no frowns. Oh yes, he time. We been sitting and just waiting, I want all of it. These people faking and they hating, just keep talking. You gon' feel less, they gon' hear us, we keep barking, Chris. And when it comes to Cleveland, we are all in this, yeah.
I think I got it.
Good work, Chris.
That only took me 20 minutes. These new Twitter updates are really just messing with me, Dave. I'm sick of it.
The phones
Everything
are going
goes so
slower and slower and slower. Let's kick this thing off.
Getting worse.
Because the Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News, your go-to for gaming news. Covers all your gaming content needs. They've got the latest reviews and articles covering everything in the gaming universe, including a review of the new Mario and Sonic Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Head on over to Shack News. Get into the conversation by clicking on that Shack News Twitter profile. Because when it comes to gaming news, there is only one site to visit, and that is our friends at shacknews.com. We got Joe Thomas coming in here hot. Let's talk some Browns.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah,
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. Today is Monday, November 11th, 2019. I'm your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my main man, Mr. Chris McNeil. What's up?
How are you doing, Dave?
I am fantastic. It is Victory Monday.
That's right. That's right. If I were doing any better, I'd be Ed Orgeron today. Right?
Yes,
Best
very
guy
true.
ever.
Very true. Very true. Breezy Clee, what's happening?
Hey guys,
How you doing?
I am wonderful after that win yesterday.
Yeah. Are you drinking out of your Victory Monday mug from the Cleveland Clothing Company?
I don't have one.
You need to pick
But
one
I
up
should be.
because we're starting to win.
All right, I'll get one.
I need a Victory Friday one for this week, Dave. They don't make one of
Yeah,
those.
that's
All
right.
right, shoot them a
We're
DM.
gonna need that.
Let's get them to print it, expedite it. Let's get it going. All right, we got a packed show tonight, so let's get it going. Tonight on the show, we are kicking things off with a Cleveland legend, Mr. Joe Thomas, joining the show here in, another minute or so. Then we'll get into Power Rank Monday, presented by our friends at coverhelmets.com. The 3 things we hate the most about the Steelers. We only use the word hate. We only use the word hate with the Steelers. We'll then get into the latest Cleveland sports headlines presented by Cleveland Clothing Company. Hit you with a few would you rathers. Give you a few over-unders for this Browns-Steelers game coming up. And end the show with our bold predictions for the week. Let's kick things off with a little interview. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Bring on Joe.
It's interview time. On the line, we have the one and only Mr. Joe Thomas, the first offensive lineman in NFL history, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, a man who deserves a statue in front of First Energy Stadium, and the host of the Thomahawk podcast, live this Wednesday at the House of Blues in Cleveland. The legend himself, Mr. Joe Thomas, welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Reflog Show.
Wow, thank you guys so much for having me on. I can tell you guys are partying, got that 10-6 feeling just like I do, and you can't wait for the big on Thursday night. Maybe Steelers coming to town, about to smash their faces in, and I cannot wait.
Wow, that's the energy we need.
That's right. Joe, we had our auto screener bring you into the line. What did you say to him?
Well, I've never had the opportunity to be able to join an interview and say what the purpose of the interview was for. And so I got the wonderful opportunity of dropping a nice little message. And hopefully you guys get to hear that and maybe even play it on the show later, because I had a little fun with it, you know.
I was like, oh, God, we're getting prank called. Oh, I love it. So, Joe, we sent our producer, Nick Padone, out to MLB All-Star Weekend to chat with you at that Kingsford Charcoal tent back when the Browns were Super Bowl contenders on paper. It's kind of been a roller coaster since, to say the least. What's been the biggest surprise for you when it comes to the Browns not meeting those expectations?
I would say the biggest surprise for me is just the fact that the Browns have not been able to get Odell going like I expected, and the connection between Odell and Baker has not been on the level that I expected when we made the big trade for Odell. So I think that's probably my biggest disappointment thus far in the season.
Yeah, and a lot we talk about it every week. What could the team be doing better? How do we kind of fix the perceived mess that we've had here in Cleveland through the first few weeks here? Looking at the offensive line, it's a unit that's kind of struggled ever since you retired. Thanks for that. But look at this. Forget about the draft. Forget about the draft. Forget about upcoming free agents next year. I'm curious. As one of the greatest linemen ever, when you watch this group, do you see anything that they could maybe improve on now to kind of help get Cleveland back on track to go 10-6?
I know the talk in Cleveland forever is always about the offensive line because, Cleveland's a blue-collar city. It's a blue-collar town. They appreciate line play. But let me take you back to, 2010, 11. We had a right tackle named Mitchell Schwartz who people in Cleveland couldn't wait to run him out of town. And I kept telling everybody, no, he's a good player, man. He can play. Offensive line play is such a reflection of the offense and how the quarterback is playing and his ability to throw the ball on time and to the right person and get them in the right plays, and then all the skill players around them doing their jobs. And now Mitchell Schwartz goes to Kansas City Chiefs, and he's been an all-pro almost every year since he's been there, and people widely regard him as the best right tackle in football. Think to last year, the last, 5-6 games of the season, I think they gave up like 1 sack or 2 sacks. It was like basically the offensive line kept Baker completely clean down the stretch. And the only difference from that line to this line right now is Kevin Zeitler. Now, Kevin Zeitler is a great player, and they obviously miss having him, but 4 out of those 5 guys are the same. And actually, I would say Joel and JC are playing better than they did last year down the stretch. They're having great seasons right now. But right now, everyone wants to talk about the offensive line. And yes, they have struggled at times. There's been inconsistency, but largely they've played similar to what they were doing last year. And to me, it's more a reflection of the guys around them, how they're playing and how they're fitting into this 2019 version of the Browns offense. And so while they definitely deserve some of the blame for not living up to the offensive expectations, I will say that I think they have played generally well enough in order to give their team a chance for success. And so I think they can play better. Certainly, I know the coach is in there. He's beating the table every day with what they need to do to play better. But I think by and large, our perception of their play maybe doesn't accurately reflect how they've been playing, because the skilled players around them and the offense around them has not played up to standards, which has led to a lot of quarterback hits. Let me take you back to the game from Sunday in the end zone. Baker Mayfield had a safety, and everyone's going to say, oh, the offensive line, they didn't protect him, right? Well, Baker looks the wrong way. He looks left instead of looking right and throwing the hot in his face. The offensive line actually does a nice job picking up the blitz, taking the most dangerous men. The defensive end runs free and hits Baker in the face. That's a reflection of the quarterback not doing what he was coached, not the offensive line. But us as lay people, as fans, for the most part, are going to see that and say it was an offensive line deficiency. And I think that's just an example of kind of how quarterback doing the right thing, receivers doing the right thing, running backs doing the right thing makes everybody look good. Whereas when you have a breakdown like they had on Sunday, a lot of times the offensive line maybe garners an unfair majority of the blame.
So you touched on it a little bit, Joe, about Baker not being maybe as accurate or as on point as he was last year. So kind of what changed with him? Is it not trusting the offensive line as opposed to last year, 2018, or is it really just a learning curve heading into this year with defensive having more tape on our second-year quarterback?
Well, just like most things in football, it's going to be a combination of a lot of things, right? So I think one of it is Baker getting used to a new offense. Now, we all thought, okay, Freddie Kitchens is the offensive coordinator right now. He's the head coach. He was the same guy that was calling the plays down the stretch last year when they were having all that success. But I will say that this is a different offense because you've inserted Odell Beckham. You're now a team that runs primarily 11 personnel. You're a team that plays with 3 wide receivers. You don't play with a fullback ever. And so there's a learning curve there. And Freddie and Baker and finding out what they both do well, what they like, I think there's a little bit more of a steep learning curve than maybe we all realized or even kind of expected going into the season. That's one reason. Another reason, the schedule's just been a lot harder. Down the stretch last year, they had a lot of easier games, and so they may have looked maybe a little bit better than they actually were down the stretch because of the softer schedule. And then to start this season, the schedule was much more challenging. And so I think when you're dealing with much more challenging schedule, and on top of that, like you mentioned, a lot of people have film on Baker, right? They're starting to see what his tendencies are. They're starting to see Freddie Kitchens. What are his tendencies as a coordinator? And then you can come up with really good game plans from a defensive perspective that force your offensive coordinator and your quarterback to do things that are perceived to be their weaknesses and see if they can correct it. And I think they have corrected it, and they're playing much better now than they were, let's say, 5 weeks ago. But it is a learning process. This is really Freddie Kitchens' first time as an offensive coordinator for a whole season. This is Baker's first time as a quarterback for the whole season. So I think as fans, it's important for us to not lose sight of that fact that this is a very green offense. There are tons of talent across the board. They can really move the ball well at times, but to be able to be consistent in the NFL, you need a lot of experience, and they just don't have that right now.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of things there. Guys, we are chatting with Joe Thomas of the Tomahawk podcast. Go check them out live at the House of Blues this Wednesday night. Doors open at 7 p.m. Link to tickets available on Twitter at Tomahawk Show. So, Joe, you touched on a couple of things there, too. And as a former player, you obviously have a lot of experience in the locker room. You've been a supporter of Freddie here. And we just want to know, how much of the problems fall on this coaching staff and how much falls on the players needing to execute? We hear that a lot with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's always both of those things, and they go together. In the end, it's up to the coach to get the players to execute the way he wants. And that's just the way the NFL works. The buck stops at the coach, because those are the guys that are going to get fired before they get rid of players, especially when you have talent in the NFL. And so for Freddie and his staff, it's about finding out, what can I get? What's the most difficult and challenging thing that can make the other team put themselves in a difficult position that I can get my guys to consistently execute properly? If your scheme is too complex or too difficult and there's all sorts of mistakes, you need to dial it back a little bit, right? And so you got to kind of walk that line as a coach and figure out, what can I do? What can I implement that my guys are going to be able to handle? And I think early on in the season, the team was really inconsistent because they couldn't handle the number of things that were coming at them. And I think, part of that is probably from the coaching standpoint. Maybe they weren't coaching the details the way they should have. But then part of that is dealing with players that aren't able to execute because of their inexperience. We love Baker. We love Odell. We love these guys. But really, outside of Jarvis and Joel, this is a bunch of kids on this offense. And in the NFL, it takes, in my opinion, about 3 years of being in the NFL before you're comfortable enough where it becomes almost like second nature. And there's just not that many guys on this team that have that much experience. And even the guys like Jarvis and Joel and JC who have that experience, this is their first time in Freddie Kitchens' version of his offense. Yeah, he was calling the plays last year, but it was kind of a blended offense. And so this year, especially with the addition of offensive coordinator Todd Monken, it's a new offense. And so there's a lot of learning that goes on. And there's a reason the Patriots have been good forever. It's because they've had the same scheme with the same players at the important positions for decades. And when you do that, you have an opportunity to fall back on learning that you did from years past. Because those, in an NFL game, 10% of the stuff that comes up is something you didn't talk about or you didn't practice, and you have to fall back on previous experiences. And for the Browns, they just don't have those previous experiences. So those 10% of the plays that don't get made out on the field, a lot of times that's the difference in a game. And so for Browns fans, for myself, it's not fun to sit there and go, well, they're just not that experienced. You can't expect that much out of them. But that's kind of the reality of the situation. And so I feel like this little stretch they're on right now is really important because they have an opportunity against some lesser quality teams to gain that valuable experience and come out on the winning end of the game. And if they're able to do that, I think the sky's the limit, and they got an opportunity to put themselves in that playoff mix at the end of the season.
Joe, Chris McNeil here. I'm going to switch tracks a little bit on you and go from the current team, taking you back to that team that went, unfortunately, 0-16 that you were a part of. As you, I think I was the architect. Yes, I know that you're just loving that. You're also probably loving the fact I was the architect behind that whole parade thing. And I was wondering, what were your thoughts as you were going through the 0-16, and this guy was putting together this parade, and you had kind of some fan support. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. What was it like getting asked about that? And what was the buzz around the locker room as that all was transpiring?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of unusual. Obviously, there's not a lot of 0-16 teams. There's not a lot of teams that have a parade to celebrate a winless season. And it was very polarizing, as you know, from fans and from people in the front office, ownership, all across the board. I think there was a lot of polarity. But for me, I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on it, but it didn't really move the needle for me. I guess I didn't think about it. I know that as a player, you're just so focused a lot of times on like, all right, what's my job? How do I do my job to the best of my ability to try to help my team win? And whatever the outcome is the outcome. And actually the year before when we went 1-15, we lost to the Patriots, I think, to put us at 0-6. And at that point, I literally had like a mental breakdown where I got in the car with my wife after the game under the stadium in Cleveland. And I just started crying. And it was the weirdest moment. And she looked at me, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I just told her, I don't know. I'm like just emotionally ruined. The losing had just broken me down. And I ended up reaching out to the team psychologist, and I talked with him for a few weeks. And he really kind of helped just, kind of wrap my head around things. And so I think kind of having that grounded point during my career the year before when we went 1-15 allowed me to maybe take the parade and all the hoopla around it with a grain of salt a little bit. And so it didn't really move the needle all that much for me. And I could see both sides of it, whereas like plenty of people in the organization and as the fans were embarrassed by it, and they were very vocal about that. But then on the other side of it, I've kind of been self-deprecating throughout my career about the lack of success that we've had as Browns. And I can totally understand the fan side of it, where it's like, hey, you know what? We're the most passionate fan base in the country because we're 0-16 and we still care enough to show up when it's freezing cold and get together and celebrate our team. And so for me, I could easily see both sides of it. And no love lost for me for throwing that parade, my man.
Joe, I'll tell you, if this media thing doesn't work out for you, you're set as a politician. That is the greatest political answer I think I've ever heard. You gave us really nothing. You broke down both sides just beautifully. Are you thinking about running for president here in 2020?
Joe, feel free to call Chris an idiot.
Yeah, one thing I'm not interested in right now is politics. But you never know. I guess right now I'm just worried about the Brownies winning the Super Bowl, and then we'll see. But they'll probably have incriminating evidence against me once the Browns win the Super Bowl, because I'll be running around shirtless like JR did for way longer than he did. So I think I'll be disqualified.
So let's talk a little bit about that media thing you are doing. The Thomahawk show live at the House of Blues this Wednesday night. Doors opening at 7. What's the format, Joe? What are you guys going to be doing live for episode 100?
Yeah, it's really awesome. We decided that for our 100th episode, we got to celebrate with the fans. We got to go back to where everything started in Cleveland, Ohio. We've had almost 3 million downloads of our podcast since then. And
incredible.
We just felt like it would be a fun night, to get back with the fans, to get up close and personal, let them interact with us, with the show. And really, it's going to be a Browns-focused show, obviously. We try to talk all NFL. Obviously, we tilt Browns heavily, but it just worked out so perfectly because it's Browns Steelers the next night. We've got a bunch of the NFL Network family in town. We've got Michael Irvin coming. We've got Steve Smith coming. We've got myself, Andrew Hawkins, Terrell Pryor, Josh Cribbs, Andrew Siciliano, Colleen Wolfe, Phil Taylor, John Greco. We've just got all sorts of guys. And what we're going to try to do is make it a storytelling type of night, right? So we've got the House of Blues in Cleveland for 2+ hours. We're going to sit down, beers in hand, and just talk Browns stories. And of course, we've got Steve Smith and Michael Irvin. They never played for the Browns, but they'll be able to share fun stories from their NFL career, some that maybe nobody's ever heard. Hopefully it's a lot of laughs. Might be even a few tears talking about the 0-16, 1-15 stretch. But we're just focused on having a lot of fun, drinking a few adult beverages, and breaking bread with our fans.
That's fantastic. Joe, last one before we get you out of here. What's a harder grind, getting ready for the Steelers on a short week or doing the media rounds all day to promote a live podcast?
Well, you guys will be happy to know that I've only done 3 shows today. It was ESPN Cleveland, the Le Batard show, and you guys. So
there you go.
I'm not sure where you rank compared to them. I think you guys are number 1, but Matt, maybe you think that the other ones didn't even deserve me, unlike you did. So I will say that, at the Thomahawk show, we go to the Super Bowl and we do like 8 straight hours because that's where all the guests are. Like the Super Bowl is a great time to do a podcast because all the players are there, all of the Hall of Famers are there, all the coaches. And so we do 8 hours in a row of podcasts, and it comes out like 3 or 4 shows. And by the end of that, I am absolutely wiped. My voice, I always lose my voice. I'm always so tired. I don't even want to go out and have beers that night. And I will say that I think that is probably harder than getting ready for the Steelers on Thursday.
Joe, you are a true Iron Man. Thanks for the time. Cleveland loves you. You know it. We'll see you Wednesday at the House of Blues.
Hey, can't wait to have everybody there. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, Thomahawk Show 100th anniversary. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks,
All
Joe.
Mr. Joe Thomas.
Future president or
I was
mayor
really
of Cleveland.
hoping he came on and just said, "I hate that guy that organized the parade.
Yeah, that would be
He's the
great.
worst."
I'll show you his screening call after the show. He completely threw me off.
Oh, good.
Good work, Joe. Good work. Great stuff from Cleveland legend Joe Thomas. That was awesome. He's like us. He tries to be optimistic with the Browns as much as he can.
Yeah. Cautiously optimistic. I love it.
That's
He's on this 8-game winning streak, like me, by the way.
We have to be. 1
game in.
All right,
That's all we have is hope, right? That's all we have. That's what brings us back every time. It's like that round of golf where you shoot like 100, but you make a birdie on the last hole. That brings you back. The Bills did that to us yesterday. It was great. We got to win.
Yeah, that seems like a week ago. I feel like it's not Monday. I feel like
hopefully it does for the Browns too, because they've got a short week to prepare.
Ooh.
Yeah, no
Steelers
kidding.
looked good last night.
Oh man. And one thing we didn't bring up with Joe Thomas, he predicted the Steelers to be last place in the AFC North, I think, back in September. But he's sticking with them being third worst. I think he said 7-9 was going to be their record, and we were going to go to the playoffs over them. So, hey, we'll take that. We'll take it. Let's move on to Power Rank Monday.
It's time for Power Rank
We are
Monday.
sorry, but the show has ended. Goodbye.
All right, Power Rank Monday, presented by our friends at hoverhelmets.com. Holiday season is right around the corner. Perfect time to get an early start on that holiday shopping. Don't slack like all of us do. There's no better gift for that sports fan in your life than a hover helmet from hoverhelmets.com. They have Browns helmets, Buckeyes helmets, Indians helmets, as well as any other favorite team you might have in that family. Go pick up a hover helmet today at hoverhelmets.com. It is rivalry week for our Cleveland Browns. So today we are going to power rank the top 3 things we hate most about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we're all in agreement that we hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll kick things off.
Right?
It is, man. Birthright. It is. All right, so my number 3 on why I hate the Steelers. When they overtake our stadium in December. With
Wasn't that always the worst game for the past 20 years? We always get the Steelers like the second to last or last game, and it was always so depressing. I'll have memories that are just etched into my brain of putting up a Christmas tree and that on in the background and trying to get into the holiday festive spirit and mood and having them just crush us in the background. It's something special, really.
Yeah, and all those stupid, terrible towels. And we were always 0-6, 0-15, or 1-14, or maybe if it was a good year, 4 wins. Literally the whole stadium. That's kind of on us, but still hate them for it. My number 2, their fans not hating us. In a rivalry, you're supposed to have 2 teams who despise each other. And I feel like the Steelers have just pitied us for a decade.
Yeah, it's not that shouldn't happen.
No,
the opposite of love is hate. And you can't have apathy, and that's where they're at. They just don't care. They just don't care, or even worse, they feel sorry for us like that.
That's where we've been, and this was supposed to be the year where it all changed. Now we got a W. We've got them on Thursday. I feel like we can get this going and finally renew this rivalry, so we'll be able to take it off the list. My number 1. Ohio-born Steelers fans.
Totally agree.
You were born in
Yeah.
Ohio. You still live in Ohio, and yet you root for a Pittsburgh team. It makes no sense. I don't care if you could only pick up Pittsburgh radio waves in your Ohio city. You live in Ohio, root for an Ohio team. Now, I will say one exception, Big Play Jay, who I've granted an exemption for, so he doesn't get mad at that. But they're the
And
worst.
Breeze right there at a dividing line over there. in
Yeah,
Youngstown.
that's right.
Get that right
Yep.
there, right up against it, where you get Steelers fans coming in from the east, and you got the Browns fans there, and that's just tough
Yeah.
to take when you're born in Ohio and you root for that team.
Yeah, depending on what store you go in, it's Steelers gear.
Oh, God, it's the worst.
Yeah.
I hate it. Chris, what do you hate about the Steelers?
Everything. That's it. Number 1, 2, and 3. I'm done.
Ding, ding, ding.
No, right. Number 3. Big Ben. Remember Ben Roethlisberger out of
Ugh.
Miami of Ohio,
Ah, yes.
right? When he got drafted by the Steelers, I was telling all my buddies, I'm like, hey, watch out for this guy. He was pretty good. You know, I watched him play back in college. Obviously, my alma mater, your alma mater as well, Dave.
Right.
And he had some darn good years there. The last good years, really, we had at Miami. And, from all I could tell, Dave, of course, he was an upstanding citizen. He was well-liked, well-respected on campus, I'm sure, despite all the stories I've heard otherwise. But as soon as he went to Pittsburgh, it all went downhill. All went downhill for Big Ben, and I blame it all on wearing those colors.
He gained about 150 pounds from graduation to preseason
Yes, that's so true. That's so true.
and was always a scumbag. Go ahead, Chris.
And kind of along the same lines, my number 2, the Columbus market. It's partly the Browns' fault, but it has become another battleground for fans. And it used to be kind of Cincinnati coming up from the south, but hey, come on, who cares really about Cincinnati? They're all bandwagoners down there. So it's mostly Cleveland Browns fans. But because we've been so bad for so long, we have all these Pittsburgh fans that have just kind of crowded this market, and it drives me nuts. Last year, we had to get the local station to flip it over to the Browns, and we were able to do that on social media. By the way, we switched it from the Pittsburgh Steelers game over to the Browns game on 10 TV.
I remember that. You willed it into existence.
We willed it into
The Lord's
existence.
work.
That's why, because we're better. I mean, come on, we're Browns fans, man. We're more passionate. We're better than Steelers fans. We own this market, and so we asserted ourselves last year. But it drives me nuts to see those colors around Columbus. And my number 1. Just simply their fans. Simply the worst humans ever, really, on the face of the earth. Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Hate them all. Go Browns. We're going to win Thursday.
Yes.
Wow, the passion.
Bree, beat that.
All right, guys, mine's really easy. Number 3, every single thing that Dave said.
Well done. Well done.
Number 2, every single thing that Chris said.
Very good. Very good.
And finally, my number 1, everything else. I hate them all. I have to work with them. I have a really annoying guy that sits next to me who can't wait for me to come into the office after the Browns lose. In fact, today, I think he was sad that I came in after a victory, so I cannot wait for Thursday night to pound them.
Yes. I forgot about that, Bree. You have a ton of Steelers by you.
Oh my gosh, it's Steelers fans.
What's the
and
mix
State
around
fans.
there? Is it like 50-50?
Oh no, not even close. I mean, it is 80% Steelers fans. I have actually sought out
80?
Cleveland fans within the building. Like, I know who they are.
Like a support
And
group.
I try to stick with them.
Penn State fans. That's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah,
Minnesota,
that had
go
been a sad
Gophers.
Saturday.
Woo!
That
wasn't much of a
that
game,
was a little
Mary.
bit of redemption.
That was awesome. Awesome.
All right, let's talk some brownies. It's Cleveland Headlines time, presented by Cleveland Clothing.
The cold weather, Dave, it's officially here, which means that it's time to update your wardrobe with warmer clothing. Cleveland Clothing Company can help you do just that with their awesome selection of long sleeve tees, sweatshirts, and hoodies. Whether it be for the Browns, Cavs, or just Cleveland in general, Cleveland Clothing Company has you covered. Stop by any one of their locations, downtown at East 4th, in Akron at the Summit Mall, East Side in the University Circle, and over here by the Big Play Studio at Crocker Park, or online at clevelandclothingco.com. Use our promo code BIGPLAY20 for 20% off.
I just realized I'm wearing the same sweatshirt that I wore last week. Everyone's just going to think I just always wear this. That's fine, though. I kind of do.
Not a bad choice.
No, man.
Choice if you're going to make one.
That's right. I think you're wearing the same one as last week, too, Chris. Why not? Why the hell not? It's the
no one was
going to
notice before you said something, Dave.
Oh, well.
Thanks.
Browns versus Bills. Hey, we won.
There it is. There it
Feels good.
Yes, it does. So Browns 19, Bills 16, and honestly, outside of coaching, I thought we looked pretty damn good. I think that
really,
I do.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I really do. I think we looked good. I mean, you look improved. It's a very low bar.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, improved. We did win.
Look at and Baker Mayfield. Mayfield, 26 of 38, 238 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
That hasn't happened this year.
No.
Nick Chubb, 116 yards. He averaged 5.8 per carry. You bring in Kareem Hunt, who looked phenomenal as a blocker.
Yep.
And as a runner. He only ran it 4 times, but he averaged 7.5 yards on those carries. He basically did everything. And Jarvis Landry, man, he brought the fire. I didn't even care about the extra point that was missed. You know, I chalk that up
I
to...
do.
Yeah,
I do.
Okay,
I take exception with you on that one.
All right,
Come on. We drive the ball down the field right off the bat. You're feeling good. There was little resistance that entire drive. You catch the touchdown, and then you got to do that. You got to get a taunting penalty.
But Chris,
come on, he's a veteran.
No,
I think.
Does
he know what our record is?
You know what I mean, think serious. This was? I think this was Freddie Kitchens coaching. I think he told Jarvis, get that penalty, move us back. The only kick that Cypress missed all year was an extra point. Move it into a field goal and let him kick it.
He's playing 3D chess, and I'm over here playing checkers. What was I thinking, Dave?
Correct.
You're right.
Correct. But no, Jarvis Landry, 97 yards, 9 receptions, had that touchdown early on as well. I don't know, man. I think they looked a lot better. I won't say they looked good, but I mean, outside of a questionable timeout and the red zone at the 1 yard line, which seemed to last for like 2 years. Right? Yeah.
Or as I've coined it, the Fred zone. Once you get in there, it's just they're not scoring. We've gone Chuck Knobloch. We talked about it last week. We've just got some sort of yips against scoring in there. And it's funny. I was at the game, and as soon as we got down there, everybody was calling for Chubb. I mean, it was literally everybody was calling it out, and just we could not get it done. And we won't run him straight, it doesn't seem. It seems like we try and get too cute with some of these play calls, and
all of them were tosses.
So frustrating.
Yeah, and Bree, we talked about this last week about having dual running backs. You've got 2 of the best in the league, putting them both on the field at the same time. Not once in any of those red zone possessions did they do that.
Yeah, that was the weird thing about it is we got down the field pretty easily with both Hunt and Chubb kind of leading the way down the field. And then that was the saddest thing that I have ever seen, honestly. And if we would have lost the game yesterday, I think that would have probably been the number 1 topic throughout all of the media today.
Oh, yeah,
with
easily.
Us not being able to get into the end zone. So thank goodness that didn't happen.
8 times from the half or 1 yard line. I mean, come on. Pass interference was our best offensive play once we got down there. I mean, that's incredible. How does that happen? I will say, though, it looked like there were some other players that missed what they were supposed to do from an execution standpoint. Oh, yeah. So it does go back to that of everyone, being in the right spot at the right time and doing what you're supposed to do. And listen, I'm not going to give Odell a pass either this game because he dropped some catchable balls. Yeah, they were a little tougher to catch, but Jarvis Landry's 2
catches that he made that were crucial and critical in the moments that they happened, they were not easy catches either, and he came up with them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, maybe it was seeing him in person, but I'm really concerned about Baker throwing the ball. I know he had a good game yesterday, or a better game, but he's just not on target. Even the throws that he's completing right now are not where they're supposed to be a lot of the time. And the receivers are being asked to make some catches. Now, that's what they're paid to do, and not every throw is going to be on target in the NFL, but there were a lot of those throws that I thought he should have had better on target than what he did. And it's costing us some yardage and yards after catch. And it's sometimes, the receivers just aren't catching it either. So that's something to watch. Mr. Baker Mayfield has got to get more accurate in my mind out there.
And there were a couple of throws, at least one that they showed the instant replay of Odell Beckham Jr., and he ran a phenomenal route. He was wide open. The ball just didn't get there in time, and he missed it. He probably should have caught it anyways, but it seems like him and Baker still aren't on the same page. I think they're maybe getting a little better as the weeks go on, but not a whole lot.
All right, Dave, and I'm going to go back to something that we used to harp on all the time, the number of targets to receivers. We always looked at Baker Mayfield and how many receivers he was targeting. I've got Noah here from Granville High School. He's helping me out doing some of my stats. Noah, dig in to see how many different receivers Baker Mayfield completed a pass to in that game. We'll come up with that number, but typically when Dave and I talked about this, when Baker was at his best, he was targeting what up to 10 receivers?
Every eligible receiver. It was like 9 to 11 consistently every single week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's I think we both agreed when he's at his best. He did a nice job of getting Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, getting him involved. Kind of a Duke Johnson throwback there, which is good to see.
Yes, we've been talking about forever. He had, I think, 7 receptions.
7 receptions. Yeah, I mean, that's what we were looking for, and that's a big missing piece. We had talked about 2 of the big offensive weapons we were missing: David Njoku at tight end, and then Duke Johnson going into the season. And if Kareem Hunt is able to fulfill that role for Duke Johnson, that's going to be big for us. Noah, you got that number for me?
You have 3 seconds, Noah.
6 different receivers.
6
in total. That includes backs. Yeah, 6. Wow. See, that's a low number for Baker. When Baker was really hitting and on all cylinders, he was hitting minimum of 8. I mean, as I recall,
Jarvis was on the team.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you didn't have a couple of guys screaming for the ball that we've got now, and to be fair, with a whole lot of talent and reasons that we want to get them the ball, but still. We had Jarvis on the team last year. Didn't have Odell, but he was getting the ball around. So it's just something I like to look at, David. It always strikes me that it seems like the more he moves the ball around, the more effective we are.
And going along with that, and Bree, we finally saw our guy Rashard Higgins on the field.
Yes,
and he
big time.
It took him a little bit. Oh, forever. But one thing I really loved seeing during that touchdown that ended up winning the game for us was Odell Beckham was the first person right next to him, completely amped up for him to score that touchdown.
Loved it. Loved everything about it. First of all, Rashard Higgins, credit to him, because he played, I think, quite a few snaps in the game yesterday, and that was his only target of the entire game. Yep. And what a huge play for him and for Baker. And I think it almost looked like a mistake when you were watching it on TV, because you couldn't quite see Rashard in the play or in the screen on TV at all, but he totally torched the defender, and he was wide ass open. And what a great job by Baker. Again, I mean, they haven't played together all that much this year, but there's still just that trust level with Rashard, and how awesome of Odell to be there celebrating. I mean, this team needed this win so bad, and it was evident across all of them.
Yeah, great team win. Odell hasn't been what we thought he was going to be, but I've been pleasantly surprised with, kind of the demeanor that he's brought to the Browns. Yeah. I've had no issues whatsoever with that. Chris, you've been super negative.
That's a good intro, right? You go from Joe Thomas, Mr. Positive, to I'm super negative.
Right.
Yeah, all right. I'm Debbie Downer. Let's go.
Did that win give you? Did it revive your optimism in this season whatsoever?
Yeah, sure. But I'll tell you, it will change on a dime. And I saw it yesterday in the stadium when we had that what everybody in the stadium thought was a fumble that they returned for a touchdown that Buffalo did that ended up being the shovel pass. There were people, and I was right down there at field level at this time, that were streaming out of there, and Buffalo fans just going nuts. That was it. And they were saying same old Browns. Now, of course, they turned around about 2 minutes later and walked back into the stadium or walked back to their seats. But everybody just thought same old Browns. Here we go again. So although you called me negative, I think there were a lot of people who were thinking the same thing. On the positive side, though, and this is a little bit of karma. At halftime yesterday, we had the best damn band in the land perform, and they did their montage of the spacewalk and the rush to the moon between us and the Soviets, which they had done for one of the games this year, and it was fantastic. After that, they did dual script Ohio's. And in the middle of that, I think it was the punter for the Bills. It wasn't the kicker who ultimately missed the field goal. I think it was the punter, but he was kicking right in the middle of dual script Ohio's. And I think that is such negative karma to do that.
No, I think it was Hashka. I think it was the kicker.
Was it Hashka?
I think it was.
Okay. I was going back through my pictures and I couldn't really tell. But you can't do that. This is script Ohio. This is script Ohio. That is negative karma right there. And it came back to bite them at the end of that ball game. That could be what turns it all around. Script Ohio may have changed everything for the Cleveland Browns this year if we go on a winning streak. How about that? The Buckeyes bringing some karma from Columbus up to Cleveland. Now the Browns are going to be on a roll.
Script Ohio and Swagger Jr. Direct correlation to wins.
And vertical stripes in the end zone.
Yes, and vertical stripes. Everyone on Twitter was ecstatic once we saw the vertical stripes.
And I didn't even realize that until yesterday in the car ride home. They started talking about it on the radio. And I was like, really? Vertical stripes? I totally missed that boat. But, hey, got to keep it now, right?
That's right. Keys to victory. Let's move on to this week. We are on a short week. Let's look ahead to Thursday night football here in Cleveland, Ohio versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So since Freddie Kitchens doesn't really look at stats, let's take a couple looks at some stats here. So
Good idea.
Steelers offense, not very good. Not very good at all. They're 27th in passing, 27th in rushing on the year. Now, granted, they haven't had James Conner the last 2 weeks. He's expected to come back, I believe, for Thursday night football. He's a pretty good back. I feel like our defense should be able to shut them down pretty well. Right, Bree? Right?
I have to laugh.
That's such a scary laugh.
Positive Bree with the scary, scary laugh.
I know. Well, everybody has been talking about our offensive struggles, but I still go back to the defense just giving up way too many big plays and not being able to make stops. And we haven't been able to force turnovers. And that is what the Steelers have been able to do. So that concerns me going into Thursday. When you look at the Steelers defense, they are one of the better ranked defenses. Now, we just won against the Bills, who actually had another top-ranked defense, and we didn't play all that great on offense and still came away with the W. So I do have some confidence there, but I would really like to see this defense get some turnovers and capitalize on it. So that's my thing. We should be able to handle them, but we also couldn't stop the Broncos, who had a quarterback who had never taken an NFL snap.
Do you remember his name?
Nope, already forgot about him.
as have most people. Yeah, I would agree with you there. The turnover ratio for the Cleveland Browns is got to be one of the worst in the entire NFL.
I think we are. I think I heard today that we only have 9 takeaways, and we are ahead of Miami, Cincinnati, and another really bad team.
Oh my God!
It's actually kind of sad.
Is it really that bad?
It's really bad.
Wow.
And see, that's a thing with with a team like us that's marginal, that's trying to get to the next level. That's the key, right there. Is creating turnovers. I mean, this is no big secret to anybody, but you've got to be able to do that if you're going to take it to the next level with where we're at. I mean, that's amazing. I didn't realize we were down there with those dregs.
Yeah, that's
God.
Awful. That's really,
we're down there with
really awful.
That's bad. You don't want to be with parade
and
folks.
We've struggled to get.
Well, you look at this.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you look at the Steelers too. Like their offense is not good. It's their defense that's scoring points.
And so you look at a game plan against the Steelers. And you look at the stats that Freddie doesn't look at. They're really good against the pass, and they're not all that great against the rush. I mean, they give up over 105 rushing yards per game. That's obviously one of our strengths. We're I think 13th. We average like 124 yards a game. I gotta expect us to just go out there and just completely pound the ball down their throats all game long.
Yeah.
What was that number on our takeaways again?
Awful. I think it was 9.
Was it 9? Do you know how many takeaways the Steelers have right now? I just had Noah.
Like in the 20-something, right?
26.
Oh, my
26
God.
to 9. That's problematic. Yeah. That's problematic. We have got to change that. If we're going to go anywhere, we need to start taking the ball away. With all the talent we've got on defense, there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be getting the ball out of the, we should be creating turnovers right and left with this defense. I really think we should. That's really disappointing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a good position though, because our defense, yes, it's struggled to get turnovers, but we've been really good against the pass. And I feel like Denzel Ward is getting better every game that now he's back. I feel like the cornerbacks are they're playing pretty well. We're top 7 in passing defense this year.
Yeah. And that's what's a mixed bag back there, with the injuries.
Remember how well our secondary, the second string starters, the entire secondary, they played really well.
And you got Greedy back there, first year. Obviously, Denzel Ward, who's trying to get back into things. And like you said, I think Denzel Ward is making big strides every week. He really is. I mean, when he first got on the field, it was like, oh, my God, is this a step up or a step back? And now he's starting to get his groove. And so hopefully that's going to start yielding some results with turnovers. Yeah, the Steelers are plus 13 in the turnover ratio.
Yeah, what is it? Minka Fitzpatrick has 3 touchdowns this year. He has more than Odell and Jarvis combined.
Oh, wow. Oh, thanks to that. That was a Tony Grossi right there. Jesus, Tony. Jesus, Bree.
Oh, man. So, Bree, do you not think we're going to win? Do you think we're going to lose Thursday, Bree?
No, because we're going to turn it around. No, I have us winning out 8 games to get in on the playoffs. So this will be...
We'll start drug testing on the show, by the way. Mandatory drug test.
I thought you already had one. Yeah, I need one too, apparently.
I did. My place of employment required that I went in. As I said, hey, the Browns won last night. I think we're going to the playoffs. He said, that's it. You're coming up on a random.
This will be the game that we get some turnovers and our offense clicks. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful?
You know what? Yeah. But here's a realistic picture. That Bills game, I could see that redux on Thursday. Just another ugly kind of slugfest, mistakes, points left on the field. I mean, this is all setting up for us to do that again on Thursday night. National audience. They're going to tune in and tune out in the first quarter, and it's going to be one of those classic Browns games that's just going to be ugly. I could see that. I could definitely see that.
I think we're going to win. I think it's going to not be all that high scoring, though.
Browns -8 turnover ratio, too.
That is so pathetic.
Versus plus 13.
That is so pathetic.
There's my key to the game right there. If I was doing one of those crappy analyst things, I'd say key to the game, turnovers. You got to correct that. Plus 13 versus -8. Come on.
Browns score 19 points a game. Steelers give up 20 points a game. Can we get 3 touchdowns?
Oh God.
We should be able to run it in. Just run.
Well, hopefully outside of the 10. We need a 10-yard run.
Play some small ball.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to move some runners over.
So what do we do if we? I feel like everyone's gonna have a heart attack in Cleveland if we get into the red zone and we get into like the 2-yard line. What are we gonna do differently? Like,
get a penalty.
You
get a
can't,
couple penalties, push ourselves back, and then score from the 15-yard line.
We can't do a toss play again.
That is absolutely brilliant. There you go. 3D chess once again for Bree.
Boom.
Either that or just kick the field goal. Let's not walk away with no points.
It's mental. Just all mental at this point.
Chris, but everyone would have booed the crap out of Freddie Kitchens if he went for a field goal.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Of course, you boo them when they turn the ball over, too, Dave.
I want to see us with 9 red zone plays inside the 1, where we score on the 9th.
Just go for pass interference every single time. That's our most effective weapon down there. Just cut it in half each and every time.
Give me a score prediction. What do you guys think for Thursday?
After that, I'm thinking 13-10.
13-10?
13-10 Browns, baby.
Oh.
We're going to score a touchdown, and you know who's going to do it?
Who's
the Scottish Hammer. We're going to finally pull the trigger on that big punt, baby.
Yes, I'm waiting for that.
They want to see our punter run the ball. Let's go.
Wait. Did you guys watch the Rams game last night? Chris, you were maybe driving home, but did you see the horrible fake punt pass that they pulled off?
I missed it. What happened?
Oh boy. I don't even know what the yardage was, but it was 4th down. They brought out the punting unit. The punter doesn't kick it. He throws it. It was like my 3-year-old threw the football. There was no spiral at all. And it literally just like wafted into the air to one of the Steelers linebackers, who then I don't know if they ran it in for a touchdown, but I will send it to you. I have full faith that the Scottish Hammer can pull off a better fake than that.
The one concern I do have we seen him throw a football, Jamie Green?
Because he doesn't just throw it, just run it.
Well, yeah, but if we do get into that throwing situation, he didn't even exactly grow up around football, so I don't know if he knows how to throw a football. If we have him on the show next, we're going to have to ask him if he can throw a football very well.
All right, we'll invite him to the studio and have him throw a football live on air.
That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to
pass it to someone.
This is a burning question.
Isn't that what you do in rugby?
What's that?
Isn't that what you do in rugby? You kick it as a pass? Like, can he just kick past it?
Yeah, you kind of like roll it to someone. Maybe you could roll it to someone.
There's a lot of
about rugby.
Bree, who's winning?
The Browns, baby.
Yeah, what's the score?
I'm going with 20-13.
Ooh, offensive explosion. Wow.
You going field goals or missed extra point?
That's right. We're going to score a defensive touchdown. How about that?
Ooh, bold prediction.
Who's going to score it?
I'm going to go with Mac Wilson.
Yes,
that's our guy.
What I was going to say.
Love it. By the way, I know he's a friend of the show, and we always talk him up, but he's looked really, really good.
Yeah.
He's getting better every week.
Plus, he's super positive. So
yes, I was just going to say that. Yes.
Every time after the game, win, lose, or tie, he is on there hyping everyone else up on Twitter.
Yes, which I'm sure at some point, if we keep losing, will backfire, but I love it. Keep it up. Keep it up. All right, do you guys want to talk any Cavs?
Let's talk Cavs really quickly. They are fun to watch, by the way.
They are.
So, Chris, have you been watching the Cavs?
Absolutely. I've been to a game. I'm going to another game on Sunday. And by the way, the renovations are absolutely fantastic there at whatever we're calling it, the Rock or whatever.
The Fieldhouse.
It is. The Field. I don't know. I don't like any of the names. The place the Cavs play. It's but they've done a really nice job. And the team looks great. I mean, Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, man, those guys are leading on the court, off the court. I mean, this is a fun team. That backcourt, the Sexland, looking great. If you have not watched the Cavs game, and this is not me doing a reflog thing. I mean, it really is good basketball to watch. They're a lot of fun. They blew out New York, just totally blew the doors off them in MSG last night.
I think Colin Sexton had a career high, too.
Yeah. Beeline's got those boys playing. It's fun. It's fun. It's upbeat. It's good to see. It's good to see. You actually see a foundation. You see a future for that team, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I thought it was going to be a really lost season here. And as long as Love and Tristan stay healthy and those young guys continue to develop, this is going to be a good season. This is going to be fun.
So we're not going to trade them.
Well, we may still do that. But I don't know. I just, in the back of my mind, you wonder how long we're going to go before there's an injury, and knock on wood on that one with those two guys. I mean, seriously.
Well,
I mean, especially with Love. And if you see Love playing these days, man, he's starting to break down. He just, the way he runs, I don't know. But right now he's playing good ball, so I'm not going to be negative Nelly like you guys keep calling me.
Why do you think they're kind of going over the expectations that we kind of had of them? Do you think it's Coach Beeline just because we've got these young college kids and he's able to kind of coach it like a college team?
You know what? We rip Freddie all the time for his coaching.
Yep.
And now when we've got a coaching job that's pretty good, I will recognize it because I think he is. I think he's relating well to the players. And whatever he's done there in the locker room, he's got the veterans playing the role of veterans who are bringing along the young guys, getting everybody involved, and then also doing their part. And it's great to see. And everybody seems to really be buying into what he's doing across the board. So it makes for a fun team. It really does. And the guys are trying. They're really trying 4 quarters out there. You saw New York yesterday just kind of quitting at times, and the Cavs just stayed after it. So you love to see that, you know?
Bree, you been watching them?
Yeah, I had a chance to watch a little bit last night, and to everything that Chris is saying, it's just encouraging. I think even in the years past, it felt like if we were down by, even 10 points, it was like we automatically waved the white flag, and I think there's no quit in this team. And when we were ahead, we didn't blow the lead like we have oftentimes done in the past. We were able to hang on to the lead and play with passion. And I think the vets look amazing. I mean, Tristan Thompson is back to like 2016 Tristan Thompson. It's crazy how we weren't able to utilize him the past couple of years. And now everything just looks so in sync. They're playing as a unit and playing as one. And I think maybe the Browns need to watch that, how a team actually plays. They need to pay attention to that.
They're not missing
missing
layups like the Browns would do if they were playing basketball. It's like missing dunks, missing layups.
Dunk.
All right, so I've been neglecting the comments for quite some time, and there is a ton of caps. We got Jason Kipnis 24, we got Adam Gents 99, all caps. We want Noah. Bring on Noah.
Oh, bring on Noah. Very good. Very
so,
good.
Chris,
all the comments. Well, we're not set up for him yet. We're getting there. We're going to bring on Noah in our next show, I think, once I get all my stuff together.
All right.
Right now, he's my stats guru, and he's done a fantastic job of bringing me down with all these stats of we're turning the ball over and not getting turnovers, and the Steelers are just killing it. So we'll bring him on the show, though, next week.
Hey, Chris, here's a team in the headlines. Last headline for Cleveland this week. Heisman hopeful Chase Young suspended, obviously, for what? Has there been any updated news on how long it's going to be? I don't think so, right?
I haven't heard.
There hasn't been. Herbie went on, and Herbie said it was going to be 4 games, he was thinking.
And maybe go down to 2 or something like that after an appeal?
Yeah, and there was some buzz around town that was his last game as a Buckeye has been played.
Right.
But I've heard everything from one game to that, and really nothing definitive from anybody. Which would be horrible. That would be a big blow for us. But we've got so much talent. I think we can overcome it. I really do. I'm not totally saying that we're sunk and have no chance at a national title without him. He is a fantastic player. That is an understatement, and probably go number 1 in the draft. He's one of those that just transcends the game, kind of like we have in Myles Garrett, I think, there at the Browns. But having said that, I think that the Buckeyes have so much talent on that field right now and are at such a level that even without him out there, it'll be tougher, but I don't count them out. I'd still make them the favorite right now to win the national championship.
Let's get weird in some Would You Rathers. right, Chris, I got a good one for you here. Who would you rather have babysit your children, Big Ben or Antonio Brown?
Oh, Jesus, Tony. Man, that's tough. Antonio Brown, I think he really is got some mental issues going on.
Yeah.
Man, he is all over the place. And of course, Big Ben's Big Ben, but I'll go with Miami grad. Let's go Big Ben watching my kids.
Love and honor. Yeah, I feel like they would, he might teach them some horrible morals, but Antonio Brown might die. They might not make it.
Right. Yeah, at least Big Ben could be a cautionary tale.
True,
like, that guy,
right.
That guy who just babysat you. Yeah, don't be like that.
Here's
guy.
what not to do.
That's right.
Bree, I got one for you. Would you rather
Yes.
this is tough. Would you rather sweep the Steelers but lose the remaining 6 games, or win every other game except for the Pittsburgh games? So the record would be 4-12 if we beat Pittsburgh twice, and 8-8 if we lost to them.
Wait,
Wow.
how many 4-12?
How
does that work?
If we beat them twice.
Be 5, right? Wouldn't it be 5?
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
Yeah.
5.
This is why we need Noah on the show.
5 and 11.
He has to go through these stats to make sure.
I
that they're
wasn't
right.
a math major. Whatever.
Obviously not.
I feel like the only reason why I would pick winning every game except the Steelers is if there was a playoff chance.
8-8.
Yeah.
We just the New York Giants. We win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right.
That's the
It would be
only way I would pick it.
9-7, right?
Oh yeah, the math was off.
Yeah. So I'm.
All right, Nick, you're fired.
We're done.
Nick's gone.
Nick's
Noah,
gone. He
you're
gone.
in. Next
Noah,
man up.
congratulations.
That's what we do on the show.
Oh man! All right, I got a couple over/unders for you guys, real quick. Going back to the Steelers game. Are you ready,
No.
Chris? I'm starting with you. 2.5. 2.5 is the number. Times Joe Hayden gets burned by OBJ or Jarvis Landry.
Going over. How about 2.5 on both of those guys? I'm sick.
Wow. What?
I am sick of hearing about Joe Hayden. Everybody, he was trending yesterday, and everybody's lamenting the fact that he's gone to the Steelers and is having a nice career and everything. He's such a nice guy. And, the people forget that he didn't really play for us for a lot because you can't make the club. You can't help the club when you're in the tub. And he was in the tub an awful lot in Cleveland. I know he was at Cavs games. I know he was at Indians games. It was great when he was sitting courtside while we were making our runs in the playoffs for the Cavs. But he wasn't helping us a whole lot on the field. So I know he's doing some things for Pittsburgh. This week is where we get back at him. Both OBJ or Landry are going to go and torch him a little bit. So, yeah, we're going to get our comeuppance. He's getting his comeuppance.
Bree, the number is 3. Missing teeth the average Steeler fan in attendance has Thursday night.
You
Pound the
guys,
over.
you're
Pound the
horrible.
over. It's on the over.
Over.
Yes. All right. I won't make you elaborate since you have 80% of your coworkers
Right.
with no teeth. All right, Chris. 2.5 blatantly bad calls made by the officials.
In favor of the Steelers in this case? Because I don't mind if they're bad calls as long as they go in our
against
favor.
us. Against us.
Okay. All right. I don't know. See, I think the fans are going to be pretty jacked up for this. It's a home ball game. They're all going to be nice and drunk and disorderly. So I think that the officials may kind of hearken back to Bottlegate. They may be a little bit careful. So I'm going to say the under. This is a shocker, but I'm going to go under on this one. They just will not want to face the wrath of making a bad call against the Cleveland Browns in that stadium on Thursday night.
Interesting. I would definitely take the over. A Bree, 7.5. Or no, it's 6.5. Wins in a row. Math. Wins in a row by the Browns to end the season. Consecutive wins.
Over.
You think we're going to win 7 in a row here?
8-8. I mean,
Hey,
we're gonna win.
It's getting late. It's getting late.
Math majors on this show. We can't get Noah in here quick enough.
We are smart. We are smart. Okay, bold prediction. Bree, what was your bold prediction earlier?
Mac Wilson scoring a touchdown on defense.
I like it. It's bold. Chris, what do you got? Bold prediction.
Scottish Hammer touchdown. Scottish Hammer touchdown.
How many weeks are you going to do that?
Scottish Hammer touchdown. It's going to happen. I can't wait until it happens, and then we play this clip.
Oh, my gosh. Twitter will burn down.
That's right.
All right, my
Guess
bold...
who called it?
Yeah, you called it. All right, my bold prediction, I am going to say, even though we only score 19 points a game and the Steelers only give up 20 points per game, we have enough energy and momentum from that win last week. Higgins is going to get more involved. OBJ is going to get more involved. Landry's going to keep it up. The Browns are going to score over 30 points.
Woo!
On Thursday Night Football.
I love it.
I will buy you a 24-pack of your favorite beverage, should that happen. And I will gladly do that. And you can hold me to that, Dave.
And I don't have to give you anything if they don't? Perfect.
No, I'm not going to have a downside on this.
Wow.
No, we're both on the same team.
That's the best kind of
both
bet.
on the same team. We want to see the Brownies win. So if that happens, that will just be a bonus. My gift to you.
I'm in. Can't really say no to that. Hey, we actually have to give away something here because Joe Thomas, I forgot, was kind enough to give us 2 free tickets to the House of Blues event, 7 p.m. Go see Joe and Hawk down at the House of Blues for that live podcast, episode 100. Looks like they got some cool stuff going on. So let me see if I got a drum roll here because we are giving those tickets away. I believe I have one. Yep. The winner is Brandon at B. Schneid. BSCHNYD. He wins.
Rolls off the tongue.
Congratulations.
Yeah, look at that. Winner of the Thomahawk tickets. So go ahead and shoot the show a DM, and we will get those to you for Wednesday night. Should be a fun time.
Is he local? Can he get there?
I don't know.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. He's got 2 days to get there.
Well, that's true. That's true. This doesn't include accommodations, by the way, just the tickets.
He's a Cleveland Indians fanatic, so I would assume he's from here.
Right.
If he doesn't want them, he can sell them on eBay.
That's right.
All right, that's enough. Go Browns Thursday Night Football. We'll see you guys Monday.
We ran out of time for my season.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Chris, what'd you want? Chris, we're still live. What did you say?
No, we just didn't get to my segment on the CBJ.
CBJ.
Hockey
Oh,
time.
boy. Shoot.
All right, yeah.
We'll have to do that next week.
Yeah.
Hockey talk.
People are on the edge of their seats for
hockey
it.
talk.
All right, that'll be next week. All right,
Next week.
say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people.